Welcome back to the Nightlife Podcast, Season 3, and I have no idea what episode one more time. um, so we continue to hide with this pandemic, with this corona thing, whatever. Anyway, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm back. Guys, I missed you. I hope you're missing me too. But you're not gonna get rid of me. So today I'm gonna have a very interesting conversation with somebody I just met, somebody who's in the industry, somebody who's a promoter, somebody who also has his own podcast, and somebody who is in one of the most affected areas. Not actually, not one of the most affected area in the world from all of this. Um, so without further ado, how are you, my man? Jason Levy from New York and the Jason Experience.
Yes, sir, man. Look, it's a pleasure to be on the show. I watched the first episode, and I watched a couple more throughout. I like the how-to videos as well, so keep it up, man. Not a lot of people are tapping into the subject, so I'm glad more people are podcasting behind it, especially people who've actually put in the work, own nightclubs, and been there every step of the way. I really hate when people podcast about something that they didn't like actually go through the motions. So it's cool to have people around that are talking about it, like while actually having information.
Completely. And yeah, actually, I'm gonna be completely honest. When I heard that there was somebody else doing a podcast that had something to do with this, I was like, let me listen to this. And I saw this is a younger dude. Let me see what this guy knows. And I started listening, and I was impressed. I'm impressed. I love the vibe. First of all, you have a complete podcast voice, and I'm sure they told you, and that's why you got into it.
Yeah, the raspiness, the
Right,
raspiness. They say I sound like Zuko, which is like an anime character.
right, right.
I think that overall, I was always gonna do radio. So I grew up
Uh,
in an Orthodox house. We didn't have TV, so I grew up listening to the radio, like Steve Summers, and my mom was kind of right, so she's listening to like Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh. So I mean, I kind of like learned what the power of radio was, because like in the '90s, that was the power. And I fell in love off the beginning. So, that's really where it came from. So when I met the first radio DJ that I met, I told him, I was like, I'm booking you now, but I'm telling you, I'm coming for your seat. Like,
right. So the podcast, if you guys want to check them out, it's Industry Talk,
yes,
right?
sir. Yep.
Um, and yeah, no, I love it. I know you interview mainly people from the New York, nightlife, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have the whole objective was to really bridge the gap between the nightlife consumer and the nightlife goer. We felt that there was not enough professionalism brought to the game. We felt that a lot of people were perceiving nightlife workers as just, coked up, drunk assholes that don't make money and just end up in the bottom of a pit that they can't get out of.
Right.
So we felt that yes, we are going to touch those subjects that are taboo that people won't usually touch. But
Right.
let's also touch the subjects that, prove to the people that we are actually professionals and we do this for a job.
Right.
So I thought that was really, really valid.
We got feelings. We are real people. No, you know what? That's one of the things that I got from your vibe and from the people that you've been interviewing and the conversations you guys have been having. Let me tell you a little backstory. I decided to write the book. I wrote The Nightlife Entrepreneur. I wrote the book when I felt that the promoter name just it was getting worse day by day. The image and the way that people saw it and what it was supposed to be, and that whole image and vibe of the everything you just mentioned. And I was like, I just got to make sure that I put that out there somehow and let people know that there's more to us and more to what we do, and that there are some of us out there. I've been doing this 27 years now, and never had freaking not even a cigarette in my life. You know what I mean? It's and I've kept away from all this stuff due to the fact that it is my business, first of all. And not only have I stayed away from it, but I have made it, a thing to keep people around me that are the same way, and our clientele, our crowd, and the way that we do, everything we do. I also checked out a little bit about what you guys are doing as promoters, and I see that, you guys are clean people, and it's a good group of people, and You can tell the friendship there is between those that work together, and it's a good
I mean,
thing.
I think it stems from what you said earlier. Like at the end of the day, when the webcam came out and everybody was able to become an actor, it diminished being an actor. When the DJs came out with Serato and every DJ got a garage band and was able to become a DJ, it created really a bad structure in the market because there were so many DJs claiming to be DJs. The worst part about the promoting is a lot of these clubs you're able to sneak in and like get that one picture. So these promoters get 9 pictures in Live, Rockwell, blah blah blah. Use those 9 pictures, create like a small grid, get 2 more pictures in front of Ocean Drive, and boom, they're a nice promoter. They bought a bunch of followers, and they're a promoter. And I think that's where really everything got fucked up, because these promoters are promising things to people that's just not coming through. They're promising things to people, and then it just doesn't come through. Then people don't believe us, the people that are actually delivering. But that also comes from the top. A lot of the times, these promoters are working for people who's working for people who's working for people. And that chain of command in nightlife is so bad. They're so bad at communicating and articulating what you actually have to get done. So
Right.
by the time it gets down to that person, the value of their words is just useless at this point. Like, just nobody values their words.
Right. So how long have you been doing this?
I started in New York City promoting 7 years, I'd say right now. 7 years deep, yeah. Started the company 5 years ago.
Did you promote anywhere else before New York, or just there?
No, I started the opposite. So for me, I went to school in Maryland. So I was kind of reversed. So I did some promoting in like my college, house parties, throwing my own events, stuff like that, small
Right.
stuff. And then when I got back, I actually wasn't going to do promoting. I was going to go to law. I was interning for the Kings County Supreme Court at the time. And the person I was interning for passed away from cancer. So by the time I got back, my job was gone. So I was like, I got a job at a mortgage company. I was waitering at the same time. I did both. And then I just, and I was like, all right, cool. Let's get into this nightlife. It was like luck. It was really like a lucky, but once I got into it, man, oh my God. My mom was the first one. She was like, hey, listen, if you're going to do this shit, I need a business plan. I need a 10-year business plan, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and where's the finish line. Because I can't sit here watch you throw your life away. I had a BA in criminal justice political science. I had my internship.
Smart woman.
Ready.
She didn't push you away, but she made you make it.
Oh no, so I did. I got a PowerPoint presentation. I had a 10-phase plan, business plan, and I would have to hit my marker every single year, open a bookstore. And I showed her that plan, and I followed that plan. I'm at phase 5 right now, and I'm pretty on point with it. So I'm glad that she did that. She did that. I'm really happy she did that.
I was actually pushed the other way, and it's the first chapter of the book, and I actually was pushed away, by my father and by my college counselor. The two of them were against it, and things changed in a way where my counselor's son became one of my best DJs, who's still DJing all around the world. And my dad ended up working for the company. Things turned around, and then they did well. And both of them are very happy about, for what happened in the end. But at the time when I said, I want to throw parties, I didn't even know what a club promoter was when I said that. It didn't exist in my niche. So it was actually house parties and that kind of thing. It was a long time ago. We did flyers, hand painted. Seriously.
Yeah, with in the windshield wipers as you guys go in the cars.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, let me tell you one thing. We still do that.
Oh wow! You guys start street teams?
Oh, we have street teams. We don't everything. We don't everything that's old school. I don't let go of it. I make sure that I still do everything, every one of those things. Sometimes I even do it myself. I just for the fun of it a few times, just to remember back in the day when it was only me and my partners. Do you have partners in your business?
No, so I mean, I started the company with me and Tammy, was my assistant at the time, and then over time, she's been supporting the company for so long, been in the company for so long. People come, people go in nightlife, so you really have to have a core group of people, because I always tell the people that work for me, like, the difference between me and somebody else is if somebody comes to work for you, you want them to be good. Right. I'll tell my promoters, like, listen, I'm telling you right now, you're not me. I'm going to be the best promoter on this team. There's not going to be another. This is my shit. You want to go find someone that's going to be successful, I will help you push that. But when you work for us, you rep the brand and you work the brand.
Right.
This is my shit. You're never going to be a better promoter. Get that out of your head off rip. Because if you don't, then it comes to a point in time where now you owe them. Because you haven't been paying in checks, you've been paying in clout. And I don't want that to happen. I want to make that clear, decisive distinction. Like, listen, you're here for the ride when it comes to that. But understand, you're going to need your own shit. You're going to need something that you're going to actually develop and become, you know, whatever personality you want to become. But if you want to rock with us on this end, that's what you have to do. So over time, I mean, we just got really close. You know, we've been working. She's one of the only people I trust, to be honest. And I think by next year, she'll make partners. So I'll probably partner into the business, give her equity. You know, we'll get going from there.
Cool. Another thing I wanted to ask you. The vibe I get from you is the opposite from a lot of the promoters, you know, that we see out there. And, you know, one of those things is that ego, you know. You are somebody who's confident about what you're talking about. You're somebody who I can tell already that you know the business, you know the industry, you're doing well probably as a company, you know, besides the fact that you're doing the podcast and all those things. And you're in New York. It's, some people may think, oh, it's easier there. Most likely not. And we'll get into that later. But my question has to do with your company name. When I first saw the Jason Experience, I was like, oh man, I hope this is not somebody who's just full of himself. And that is what, you know what I mean? But from everything I see, I really would love to hear where the name idea comes from and you know, how you feel about that and what it means.
Yeah, number one, I mean, the thing, it's very tough for me to be cocky because I always said, like, the camera will always pick up every emotion you try to hide. You can try to hide the emotion, but the camera's going to pick it up regardless. Whether you're trying to display it a certain way, it doesn't matter. So the second you get comfortable with the camera, that's when you really like understand who you are as an individual, because you're playing it back and you're watching yourself. So it humbles you. That playback really humbles you. People think when you watch yourself back, it hypes you up. Edited, sure, that 1 minute clip will hype you up. But when you sit for 12 hours editing what you say, editing what you think and how you look, you'll run into a lot of insecurity. It will humble you. Trust me, it will really humble you.
Right.
So when I started the company, I was into politics. That's what I was doing. I was going to be a U.S. Senator. So I knew I was trying to grassroot my campaign from the beginning. I was treating the business like a campaign. So the first phase was to just get out there, meet everybody, shake hands with as many people, go from state to state, shaking hands. Anytime somebody bought a ticket, that was basically a contribution to the campaign. When somebody bought a table, that was a major contribution. So they got more attention based off the campaign contribution. They don't understand that that's happening, but that's essentially what I'm doing throughout.
Right.
So when I'm coming up with the name, I knew I had to be the face. Like, I knew no one else was able to do that because I saw all the promoters and they were so confident in the club. But then when it came to articulating what they loved or who they were as individuals, they really struggled at it. So I felt like I was one of the first people to say, hey, I could do this media shit. I could do the politics back end shit. I could be in the club, I could literally do everything. So from the beginning, I was like, I got to create something that's proprietary to the future of my company. So that's why I put my face in the name. And it holds me accountable. You know, you go to Tao Group, you don't get in, and they say, oh, it's that guy who works for that. No, you don't get into my party. You know it's his fault. Right. So, you know, and that really helps in an industry where a lot of people are not held accountable. I'm held accountable 100% of the time.
Right. So tell me a little bit about where you're going with this whole thing. What are your plans long term?
So as I said, phase one was really, you know, just getting to know everybody, getting everybody across the board. Phase two was the bookings. I really needed to get the respect from my peers because that's just the way you get respect from them. And I needed to get respect in business. So we booked maybe like 60 artists in Highline Ballroom. Doc was a part of that. I did a lot of Champagne Thursdays by myself. So we did like 50 to 70 artists like Travis Scott, Nicki Minaj, Fetty Wap, French Montana, all that. Then we did phase three, which was the radio. You know, we broke in industry talk and we bought in and we bridged the gap. So in the beginning, because we were so vulgar, they just wanted us to chug bottles and party hard. But I knew that wasn't sustainable. So I knew in phase three, I would have to bring them like to the table and say, hey, I'm not that guy. I'm more than that guy. Because the second that somebody walks up to you and says, hey, you see that bitch over there? that's what he thinks of you. He thinks that's what you enjoy. If you come up to me thinking that that's going to impress me, then what does that say about the perception of me on the streets? So the show was really a way to bridge the gap between me and my people that came out with it. They say, hey, there's way more to me than this. And then phase 4 was the signing. I got signed to 4 a.m. and we're expanding. We're expanding to Boston. We're expanding to Philadelphia. We're expanding Connecticut, Yonkers, all through the middle United States. We're not really touching Miami or Vegas. We want to go bridge and tunnel, bridge and tunnel. That's basically phase 4. That's where we're at right now.
Cool. How do you start that process of moving from one city to another? That's one question that I get a lot, and it's one thing that we stood away from also. You know, in the long time we've been, I think now there may be more possibilities. You know, I mean, everything is more reachable. Maybe you got access to information and social media and stuff that makes it a lot easier. But you know, without giving away your secrets, what, you know, how do you start really?
I mean, yeah, you can do it your route, which is social media marketing. You know, you put a bunch of money in targeted marketing, and that's how you kind of build up your business. You get billboards, you get stuff like that. You buy property that's conducive to what you're trying to do.
You partner with locals also, or?
I don't do any of that. So I did the Elizabeth Warren. I went door to door taking selfies, but in the club basically. So like, I would come to a club, you know, sprinter deep, 15 guys. I get booked there. I come the week before. I sit there with my laptop, nobody with me, just hanging out. I'll take notes, and then I'll Snapchat or Instagram that I'm there. And then when people hit me up saying like, oh, you should have told me you were going to be there, I would have pulled up. I then write down on my paper, okay, fine. By the way, I'll be here next week. So kind of trapped them into always hitting me up. So I had to leverage to charge how much I want to charge. That's also a very big thing. I always want to make sure that they reach out to me. But it's really about grassrooting the campaign, bro. I went to every single club, shook hands with like everybody there, just gave the energy that, you know, like, hey, chop it up, let's go. And basically just ran a campaign, man. It's kind of wild, but that's literally what we did. I had clients buying me bottles, not coming to the party, like not showing up to the event. Like, yo, Jay, I know you need that minimum. Here, just take my card, swipe, enjoy. And that'll be their contribution because they know they know there's a bigger picture, you know. So
right. So how long do you think you see yourself still doing this or being in this industry? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of adapt and you kind of just grow. So like the whole objective of a promoter is a database, and a database that you create, you can continue to tap into over and over again, as long as you don't let it out mature you and outgrow you. If you're able to grow with your database, there is limitless potential to what you can do. So phase 6 is restaurants, phase 7 is artists. And once I develop into that, once I use all those DJ connects that I had over the years to push music through them, I could use all the real estate I have to push a franchise restaurant brand through. You know, there's so many other things that I could do. But in the spectrum of nightlife, I probably have 3 to 4 years left of throwing, you know, a lot of events and blah, blah, blah. Then we'll mitigate it down to, you know, 4 or 5 a year, 5, 6 big ones a year.
Right. But that's one of the smartest things, you know, what you're saying here about the data. It's incredible how many promoters, how many people look at the promoters and see what they've been doing, no matter how many years they've been doing it. And they think, oh, your crowd grew, you know, and that's it. Like, you're done because your clientele is, you know, is old. They're done. Yeah, they got other shit to do, and they got other things they want to be doing. And, you know, so we did end up doing that accidentally. I'm not going to say that it was completely planned. It just ended up going in that direction. And we just started feeling things like, okay, so our people want a little more of these. And definitely the restaurants are doing, it's a better thing. I'm actually opening one next week. And then, you know, things like that. It's just, it's crazy how it just took us in that direction. And we, thank God, realized, wow, all the data we have, it's so powerful, you know. Now we've been selling our data to companies and you know, events and all, everything about our competition pretty much. But it's a good way of seeing it. So you plan to stay in this industry pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, right now I got signed to 4 a.m., which is a management company. Basically, my LLC throws, you know, the 4 weekly events and then the 15 major events a year. And for the expansion, I knew I didn't want to shop my own name around the market. That's just, I was doing that for the last year and just negotiating in Miami, negotiating in Philly, You got to negotiate travel, expenses, all that stuff. It's a headache, man. So we really felt like 4AM was a great artist management company. They did the Chainsmokers, they had Chachi, they have a bunch of big guys, Rick Wonder, Beat Breaker. So I was really happy to partner with them. And then when I got that, now I'm able to do pop-ups almost anywhere in the state, hopefully Barcelona, hopefully Paris, Israel. So that's really what our goal is, to do pop-ups and just forget about the weeklies. We'll probably throw one weekly event in New York, throw pop-ups, and then throw the holiday events.
All right. So going back to New York, what unfortunately we're going through this, and you guys have had to take the worst of it pretty much. I understand you got it, it's getting a little better now, whatever that may be. What's the vibe, what's going on in general, first of all, as a city?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, man, and every aspect of it is heartbreaking. Like from sex workers not able to get contraceptives, to the racial disparity with police, from people being beat in the streets, from Midtown down to Soho is just packed with drug addicts, and it feels like the 80s and the 90s again. So it's coming to a point where, like, it's not only about a state bankruptcy, it's the morale. There lacks energy, there lacks that sense of humanity, and when we lose that little bit of humanity in us, there's no coming back from that. Like once we stop being human to each other, once we start looking at each other as predators and start looking at each other like as food, and that's the energy we're getting right now. People are staying in their houses unless they're going, and you can see, people at the beach, and it looks nice, looks pretty, but if you're tapped in and you know what's going on, it's bad everywhere, man. It's gonna get worse.
So does the politician in you want you to do something about it a little bit?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the opposite too. Like, it's really the opposite in me. Like, it's people have asked me like, oh, can we go back to work? And I said, I can't, with a good conscience, throw a party right now. I couldn't do it. I've spoken at funerals. I've done that like before. I know what that feels like. I'm not gonna do that and then end up having to be liable for one. It's just not gonna happen until the state removes that liability from my back. Then I'm not gonna do it. And as a leader, I don't get a chance to have an opinion. I don't have an opinion. You can't lead and have an opinion. You have to lead by what you know to be right and what's conducive to the bigger picture. That's just who you are. It is what it is, man.
When it comes to nightlife and what's happening now, what are your thoughts? What do you think is coming? There's people who talk about. I actually got a comment on one of my ads for my trainings, saying, how can you think of training people in this industry that 80% of the venues are going to close worldwide? I was like, I don't know where you're getting those numbers, because I don't think it's that crazy, but how do you feel? And mainly with New York.
Yeah, I mean, right now, a lot of small businesses closed. So what you have to understand is a lot of real estate is owned by a small amount of people in New York, because the rent allows you to refinance your buildings and get you more mortgages. So the second that the offices all leave for telecommunicating, a lot of these office spaces will be empty, and therefore foreclosing on complete buildings. Aside from that, small businesses are hurting, because when small businesses got their SBA loans, they're able to declare bankruptcy, and instead of using that loan to pay the payroll tax, they just leave the venue, put a lock on it, take the loan, and go to wherever they need to go to do business. So a lot of those are already closed. So we already saw a big hype in monopolization of New York City when it comes to nightlife. Tao, Butter, EMM Group, those are the three strongest groups. They kicked out Junebug. They're basically gone. Hopefully Hakkasan Group can come in here and make some change, but we haven't seen any interest by them. So right now we're looking at complete monopolization of New York City. So you're looking at places like Soho House, places that have members-only clubs. They're going to flourish. Places that have big, wide spaces, that have food and interactive, like exhibits. Like, remember when the Guggenheim was our only museum that was focused on art? Now there's so many different social media art exhibits. That's more going to be the parties. We're not going to see, Avenue crammed into a room partying. But then again, if we find a vaccine, the scariest part about it is, will they make you take the vaccine? Will they make you show immunization records before you come into the venue? That's a conversation that the mayor of nightlife here has been talking about, that I've been talking about, that I've raised this issue multiple times. It's going to be the biggest issue, because at the end of the day, whose life is at risk, and who gets to say what's that life is worth? So that's just where we're at.
what about time? What do you think? What's your what is your
They
feeling in
they
terms
said
of
June 15th, they lift the lockdown. We go into phase one. By August, we're in phase three, which is the gyms opening up and nightclubs at 50%. By September and the holiday season, we might go into like 60, 70% capacity if we don't hit a second wave.
right?
Now, again, people talk about temperatures and stuff like that. Temperature checks don't really help because if you take 3 Tylenols, you just duck the check right away. It will put your fever down. So
Right.
again, when really thinking about how to reopen, understand the complications. A place like Las Vegas is living off the gaming commission. The gaming commission runs Las Vegas. The casinos didn't even have locks to close their doors. They had to go buy locks to close their doors during this event. So if you don't have the ASD convention, if you don't have the Amazon convention in Las Vegas, and you don't have the tourism, which is already down by 30%, the conventions don't come back. If the conventions never come back to Vegas, it's over. It's over. They don't have a club under 2,000 people. They don't have small venues. So
Yeah, I have a few students in Vegas that are actually moving to Miami already.
Yeah.
And I mean, from hearing you, I can tell the big difference. Over here, there's people talking about, oh, it's not going to come back. It's not going to be the same. I'm like, no, it's just, I mean, we need time. But over here, it's nothing compared to what you guys are going through and living. It's crazy. And
a lot of promoters, a lot of New York promoters are Miami now. I'd say
right.
like 50 to 60 already jumped ship
Right.
to Miami.
And that's another thing that I've been telling people. It's right now, that's one of the things. The big cities that are affected, some people, promoters, talking about promoters specifically, they're going to be jumping shift to the other larger ones that have a nightlife that, caters to their niche, um, and has more possibilities of opening sooner. We're still here at phase one also.
Well,
But
I think let's be honest. Florida's a Republican state, run by a Republican governor. So if you're looking to make a move, looking to make the right move, you know what I mean, and you're probably pro NRA, you're probably pro capitalism, you're probably pro all those issues, you're gonna move to Miami. Essentially, the funniest part about Miami is it's also the best place that the revolution will begin, because we know no matter what happens, at some point when nightlife closes, there's gonna be that rebellion of rebellion promoters throwing those underground events, and Miami's probably the best place in the entire world for that, because we know that they're going to be overlooking those events when specific people throw them, because
right.
you're not knock down on actors' houses, you're not going to knock down on people who have political ties and those type of people. You're not going to knock into these mansions. They're going to
Right.
throw parties.
Yeah,
So
those conversations have already even started. That's over here is it's not even there's no possibility whatsoever that's gonna stop. I mean, just let's look, for example, there was some DJs, for example, doing, I think it was David Guetta that did a live from one of the buildings in the Brickell area in Miami downtown, and it was overlooking the buildings. I don't know if you saw some of those events, but they were basically laying towards the buildings, and people would come out on the balconies. And I mean, those, every building and not every apartment, but it was crazy how there was no respect whatsoever for the rules or for any anything of the social distancing or anything whatsoever, and people didn't care. This was it was an event for collecting money for coronavirus victims and stuff like that.
But let's say it is in the power of the person, right? Then we as owners have to give a liability form before anybody comes to the room. Everybody's happy, everybody parties, right? That's
Right.
basically our goal. That's where we want to be at. We want to be at a place where before you get to an event, you accept the terms, box, and conditions. You come inside. Owner's not liable. You're not liable as a promoter. Everybody wins. People stop, creating management companies as buffers so that they don't get sued. We can get rid of that, little loophole that people do. And yeah, I mean, it could work. But again, at the end of the day, it's just completely immoral. It just makes no sense that people aren't even saying that out loud. But it's true. It's fucked up.
Right.
It's fucked.
I know. And over here, for example, there's also that political issue that you mentioned, the fact that it's a Republican, state, and there's people here that rather say there is no corona. The beaches are full or packed. It's just it's crazy. I've also had friends' parents that passed, from New York mainly. Honestly, here in Miami, I only had a few friends that were affected, but mostly it has been from New York. Even though we're here because it's just so big the difference from what you guys are going through. But anyway, um, bro, I'm glad we had this conversation. You definitely know your thing. You know what you're doing. You know where you're going, and I have a feeling you're gonna be around for a while. So
Yeah.
so
We'll see.
say it again.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it all goes. I don't
No,
have a
it's
book. I don't have a book yet.
hey, that's one of the first things I say in that book is I hope more people that read it get the idea to actually go in that route. You're doing the podcast, which is a good thing. And I wrote the book to leave a legacy and to leave something behind that spoke good about our industry and about what we've been doing for so long. But then I decided, you know what, no, I can't quit yet. I stayed in it, and now I'm doing courses. I have Nightlife University, which is where I mainly dedicate my time to and training club promoters all around the world currently. With this whole thing going on, there's a lot of it on pause, but it's actually a good time. That's one of the things, the conversations I've been having with a lot of them. It is actually a good time to be prepared, because the minute that this is over or semi over, for example, you see those people that are, the guys that you're talking about, 50, 60 guys that are coming, promoters from New York to Miami looking for opportunity. You have any idea how many promoters in Miami have quit because they just can't handle, waiting or whatever it may, they don't know what's going to happen. And so, yeah, so you know what I mean? Like I keep telling a lot of these guys, like it's an evolution. It's not the end of nightlife. It is, there might be, and actually the evolution was coming from before this whole thing.
I mean, if you watch some of the episodes, you see how focused I am on AI, about technology, about the future of automation, and the way I felt that the whole club would be automated in next couple of years. Right. I think, to your point about Miami and people swapping in and out, the problem with Miami is that it's just like everybody's living on borrowed time, man. When you have so many people coming somewhere for a short time, they're prone to do things they're not usually going to do. So you have hundreds of thousands of people coming into the city for 4 days only, 5 days only, literally willing to do anything.
All right, I see you now. But so I lost you when you said, so you got, people coming in for 4 days, and after that you got lost.
Yeah, so I was basically saying, like, it's so, when people come in for a short period of time and they know they're leaving, they're prone to do things that they're not usually doing. So you have a lot of people trying to be in the spotlight and willing to do anything for it for a short amount of time, which means people are going to do anything to rock Givenchy. People are going to try to get that Pentil, lie, cheat, buy followers, buy more credit, buy Bitcoin, swap that for more credit. Whatever it is that they have to do that's shady, they're going to do it. So it creates a culture that creates a lot of distrust, and it creates a lot of trying to fit in and trying to be cool, which is a lot of reasons why a lot of them are depressed, anxious, addicted to other stuff. So again, all these things lead to a really high pressure industry that is extremely volatile right now. And it's on its pins and needles, because people like that don't save money. People like that don't have property. People like that aren't thinking long term. So you had a lot of people in a very short time be forced to go do yacht parties, to go do poker games, to go do, all the other bullshit that they're doing, like raffling off a designer on live, doing all that. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they need something. They didn't think about a time like this,
Correct.
That's Miami, though.
Oh man, I love this city, but you nailed it.
Well, I know there's also another part. Like, I know there's the other part that's extremely, like to a pure culture, and I haven't gotten to experience that yet, but I know there is a whole other part to Miami.
Right. So. Yeah. When you come back, I'll show you that other side, just so you have an idea. I mean, for us, it's just going over the bridge. it's that one bridge on South Beach and the other side. You know, it's completely different. And we don't understand it. Like, and I can tell you, I've lived here 30 years. I mean, it may have been 5 years since I went to South Beach,
What?
and I am a club promoter, club owner, and I don't go over there. It's a complete tourist trap. Um,
Like Times Square for New York.
yeah, completely. Which is exactly where I go when I go to New York. I go straight to Times Square. You know what I mean? Like, and
It's straight to live on Sunday.
exactly. Um, but yeah, no, I'm sure every big city has a little bit of that, you know. But over here, it's crazy. I've heard different stories about the reasons why, and it's also one of those cities that is known for people that do something bad in their countries and end up coming over here, changing their names, and you know,
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of
All that.
scammers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, but it comes down to the mentality of a lot of people being somewhere for a short period of time. When people are in that situation, they're really prone to do a lot of shit they're not usually going to do.
right.
And that really scares me the most, honestly.
Let me ask you another thing. How do you feel about? I mean, let's say let- uh, let's say there's a vaccine and everybody takes it and we're all good and people can go out, or they say, you know what, it's all gone. We go back to what we were. How, how hard is it, you think, for people to actually come back, meaning now also the financial side of it, when it comes to the clientele, like you calling a client or actually a client calling you to RSVP a table before, and you trying to upsell them on getting that, better
Yeah.
VIP table or whatever. How much are you going to be pushing now, or like, how bad is that going to be? Because that's one of my concerns.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it earlier when you said the big cities are going to be affected by it. A lot of the big cities, because they're so like dynamic, the outer cities to that city, like in New York, there's a lot of clubs in Jersey, a lot of clubs in Long Island, a lot of clubs in Yonkers, and they emulated what we have in New York. They created bottle service, they created confetti, and all that, the whole show. They booked the biggest DJs, so we already have less people coming into the city. So if we don't have the tourism and if we don't have the business, if JP Morgan isn't spending $200,000, $300,000 a year, servicing their clients on fucking black cards, if that industry is gone, the business, it's going to be very hard for the little guy to bounce back. As I said, Tao Group will be fine, but
Right.
we're not, man. The small business is not going to be able to bounce back as easy. I don't see people going out like that. People don't have money like that, bro. I don't know why people think everybody has money.
Right.
People do not have money.
Right.
I don't get it. People don't have money.
I'm
Like,
I'm I'm tired of saying it, and everybody's like, the economy is amazing, people are doing great. I'm like, no, I'm at
do
the
not
clubs and
have
I know
money.
what's going on.
Yeah, and it mind blows me that everybody thinks everybody has money. And if you like look at the culture, it's like, oh, I'll cash app him, and he cash apps you. No one ever has cash. No one
Right.
ever has actual money. No
Right.
one says that's my car, I paid it off. They say, oh, I leased it from him. No one says
Right.
that's my property, I'm working on a mortgage. You say that's my rent,
Right.
but I have 60,000 on my neck. It's just we're all fucked up in the priorities and what we're trying to do as an industry right now. And small business is going to take the biggest hit, bro. We're going to take the biggest hit, and it is what it is, man. The strong will survive, I guess.
Right. Were you able to get any help from? No. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got $0.
Yeah. And how long have you been since not working?
Oh, I haven't been working since March 15th. March 15th was my last event. That was St. Patrick's Day. We took a really big loss on that event because no one was really allowed to go. They did
Right.
like 50% capacity or something. I don't know. We were allowed to open, but I don't know. That was the last day. So it's been, I think almost 65, 70 days. And the first 55 days, I was alone in my apartment. Nobody came in. I was all social media. I just felt like I didn't have anything to offer, to be honest.
Right. Let me ask you one last question regarding the business, and it's: have you had any conversations with the venues where you were working at in regards to you coming back, or are they thinking of doing this by themselves? Because that's also something that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, in New York, the kind of the model is there's not many promoters that can do it. Like, there's only like 4 or 5 that really do what I do, meaning
Okay.
like that aren't working in Tao Group, that aren't working. Like, as you were saying this in one of your interviews, where like the new promoter like take flats, and they all just take a flat in a room. Yeah, I don't do that shit. So I
Right.
take a full night. I'm doing I'm getting 25% off the door, 25% off the bar. The whole door is mine. Blah blah blah, whatever the contract is.
Right.
But the night is mine. I'm theming it. I'm doing the flyers. I'm booking the DJs, booking the artists, doing everything. Maybe I partner with someone once in a while. But that being said, because I have that ability to do that, I'm gonna be fine because I can go anywhere, pop up, and just do it. It's really I built my name up to that point. The problem is those flat promoters are now gonna get lied to even more. So remember before when they were lying about tallies, when they were lying about bookings, when they were lying, that shit they're gonna play with it even more now. They're gonna open that bitch up because they know how desperate people are. So they're gonna
Right.
really play with numbers. They're gonna really lower that, that flat, and they're gonna say, if you don't like it, man, there's 80 other you guys right behind you.
Right.
So for the guys who didn't find something that was brandable, for the guys that didn't find something that was marketable, for the guys that wanted to stand one man in front of 10 girls in the club instead of trying to pack out the entire club, those people are gonna struggle heavy right now.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, man. Jason, thank you so much
Nah,
for
pleasure, man.
being here today, man. I know you have nothing to do anyway.
Nah,
That was bad. Um,
it's
but,
kind of.
but no, man, it's definitely a pleasure. I love hearing from people that not new in the industry, but definitely newer, and that are doing the right thing and going in the right direction. And I lack the energy now that I
Thank you.
had long
And
ago.
likewise, I really do like the fact that you're doing it educationally. Like, you're not doing it that much more opinionated, as in like, listen, this is what I've learned from the mistakes of others.
Right.
Let me teach you what not to do. Let me teach you what to do. So it's pretty cool. Thank you.
All right. On, thank you. So can you tell people where they can find you in New York, and meaning your Instagram and all those things?
So if you guys have Twitter, follow me at TJE Nightlife. If you guys have Instagram, at the Jason Experience. Facebook, the Jason Experience as well. That's basically it. Oh,
And the
go check out
podcast?
our podcast. Go check out the podcast on YouTube at Industry Talk. We've interviewed Funk Flex, DJ Camelo, DJ Enough, Mel DeBarge, a bunch of big guys. We're also releasing a bunch of documentaries coming out on that page, so stay tuned for that. And if you want to find our podcast on iTunes or Spotify, again, it's just Industry Talk. So
Definitely.
get that.
I'll put all the links below. Guys, and you know where to find me. You get the book on Amazon. You find all the courses and everything at nightlife.university. And you find the podcast at nightlifepodcast.com, and myself on Instagram as the Nightlife Entrepreneur. And see you guys next week.
Salud, thank you for having me.
Thank you, boss.